Hey everyone, welcome to the eighth Geo Curator kickoff call. It's been a really great week. In the last week, people have been publishing all kinds of great content. We are in full swing over here, and let's kind of go over everything that's going on. So, want to just kind of give a quick level setting on where we're at. Do a few updates, then look at the content that has been published over the last week and some places for people to focus. So yeah, thanks again to everyone who's been diving in deep. I know we've gotten some shout outs from some curators that have been doing some like really awesome work. So it's just super cool to see and keep up the momentum, everyone. Um, First thing that is worth a call out is we've been doing our community calls, and that has been just really cool to see. We've had the crypto, AI, and health community calls, right? They're breakouts with smaller groups that are going deeper in. If you've joined one of those community calls, thank you. Um, and I know the first one last week, we had some issues with people joining, some technical things. I think by the end of the week, it got pretty smooth, right? Arturis, is that your sense as well? By kind of Thursday, Friday, the community call feature is working smoother?
Yeah, definitely we're making a lot of progress there, and now it's feels smoother. Still a few like small notes to work out. We're like always tracking it and always updating the team. But overall, yes, we share the screen, we talk, we end. So things are going well now.
Yeah, now I think this week we're going to have kind of the auto publishing. I think that wasn't happening. We are recording the videos, but that will be a nice thing so that if you miss the calls, you can find the links and rewatch the recordings afterwards. So that's coming. But yeah, in general, thank you everybody for helping us test this feature. I think it's going to go a long way in helping, these spaces really form and you have to go deeper on this stuff. You can't just do it in one call. So yeah, thanks again for everyone for joining those and for helping be the initial testers. Um, on the point side, so we know that you all are excited to see your points. Been doing really great work. I think last week, several projects I think got kind of over the line of being like ready for evaluation. And the editors have been working through that and starting to assign the initial points. So I believe we did have a technical issue where some people were seeing their points kind of reset. So small temporary um, issue. Team is working on that. But very soon you should be able to see your points updated with any bounties that you've completed reflected in your points on the dashboard. So thanks for your patience there. It's going to be just a few more days, but I know the editors have already been going through that flow. We've started assigning the first points. Some people may even be seeing that showing up in their dashboards already. Um, so keep an eye out, and that's all happening. Should be in a good place in the next few days. Um, some notes I wanted to make real quickly about Discord. So, Discord is where we're having our conversations. Now, I've noticed that a lot of conversations have moved to DMs. I think with like, mentors, and I think it's really worth moving these conversations to public channels. Um, Even if, you got some questions about your bounty, you maybe you need some technical help. Maybe there's, product things that you're kind of working through. The reality is if you have a question, there's probably other people that have similar questions. And it'll just be really helpful to have all of that happening in public channels, so that more people can see what's happening and learn. And so please, let's move all of these conversations to the public channels. Ideally, they're happening in the space-specific channels. So, if you're working on an AI-related bounty and you've got a question about your bounty, feel free to at mention, an editor or a mentor, but it'll be much better to just do that in the public channels. So that's something we're going to be shooting for this week. If your mentor or whoever asks you, just like, hey, let's move this to a public channel. Now you have some context, you understand why. So I think that'll be great. Um, cool. So those are just kind of a few um, high level things. I guess I would just add one more thing there is the editors and the mentors are trying to do their best job to kind of wade through the needs of different folks. Be patient with them. I think it's always good to follow up, but they are going to prioritize people who are friendly and doing good work. And so, we know that y'all are excited and that's great. But these are people. They appreciate it when you treat them like people and are courteous. So nice little reminder there. If for some reason you feel like you're not getting the attention that you would want, I think a good thing to keep in mind is, in some ways, the more you demonstrate, the more attention you'll get from people. And I think, we have an interesting approach here in Geo where really this is kind of it's a human powered network, right? Right now we have an initial set of editors. We want to grow that. So, as we go from 10 to 100 and 1,000 and many more, right, that's going to create a lot of scalability where a lot of people can participate. But in some ways, this is a human powered network. And so, you want somebody's time. You want to show them maybe why it's worth them giving you time. And one great way that you can do that is by doing a good job with your profile, right? They're going to be checking you out. They're going to say, okay, this guy's, pinging me for, whatever bounty. Okay, what can I see about them? And if it looks like, you know, you have a very basic kind of profile, there isn't much information, that is going to impact, how much time somebody wants to spend giving you personalized attention, right? We have some curators that have been going above and beyond, doing really great quality work when they show that, hey, check out what I've done, right? Whether that's a profile, whether that's some like work that's been done in your personal space, all of that is, great reason for an editor to prioritize you in the work that they're doing. So, these guys, they've got limited time and they're going to spend it trying to empower as many curators as possible. And what we want to do is really, bring on great people doing great work and to help scale that. And, we're going to be building out this culture as we go, but it is a meritocracy. The more you demonstrate, the more power you should get, the more points you should get, and the more attention from other people you should get. So maybe a nice thing to keep in mind. Cool. Let's go ahead and look at some of the work that's been done over the last week. Arturis, you want to do a walkthrough?
Yep. So let's go ahead and get started. So the content is starting to improve in quality as time goes by. There's more complexity, more aesthetics. So here is on the health space. So this is an interesting example that is worth showing. These are two bounties coordinating together. So right here, we have a bounty for adding medical devices. And these are like ventilator, patient monitor, etc. We have their functions, some topics to organize them, therapeutic area, so exactly where for what they're being used, which is great. And then there's another bounty where we have the Helen working on the imagery for those medical devices, and these look pretty clean and crisp to me. Like I would say, looking good here. So that's like a full entire different bounty. But this is like it's a simple example, but it's a good example of how bounties can coordinate together, right? And like we are building the knowledge graph together, and so any data set can be enriched, improved, prettified by other participants. So some of that example. Then this is an example of a more, let's see, detailed, more in-depth, let's say, ontology for the health. So where we have antimicrobial resistance mechanisms, right? And there's like a bunch of them here, affected drug class by them, example pathogens, mechanistic category. So I would say this is like a great example of content. Curators are already going in quite deep into the health and starting to add like very health specific content right here. Like for us to even review this, like we need to employ LLMs and some fact checkers to really make sure everything is right here. This is pretty complex, I'd say, for the health topic. Medical specialties. So this is also cool. Great data set. And this is going to be really good to start connecting with some other stuff that we have, right? So these are the specialties. We have care settings. So where is these specialties being employed in? And some classification for them. So, going to be really great when we're going to start organizing, maybe for which conditions, which specialty is needed, and so on. So that's like practical, simple data for health. We have some vaccines. So we actually have a couple of curators who are working on vaccines, and we're reviewing that. So we have a side effects. That's a good thing to know and organize by. Later we can start organizing this as well, like the likelihood of different side effects as well. Vaccine categories. So that's, classifying and organizing things into categories is hugely important. And there's more than one way to go. So it's good when curators are experimenting with that. And at the end of the day, let's think from that about it as how do we categorize things in practical ways, right? Like how can a user use it and find what they're looking for. So these are some of the examples from the health space. Then we have in the AI space, so AI compute infrastructure. So also a bit more technical, I would say. We have some of compute infrastructure and some data about it. Personally, what I like the most for now is pricing URL. So we can immediately compare the pricing with them. Later we will be able to take a look at how can we actually move the pricing directly from the websites and push them here for a clear comparison. But this is a great step towards that. This to me is an example of a practical data set, right? I can take a look at the AI compute infrastructure. I can filter that by specific use cases, maybe for training, maybe for interface or for something else, and I can check the prices right away. So this is great. AI developer tools. So we have some tools that people use, the developers use for building up, code bases and their work. Here, some of these are, like ChatGPT, Google Gemini. So these, I would say, kind of universal tools that also happen to be used by developers, which is, true. So that's an example. And AI developer tools and infrastructure. So this is a bit more specific here. And as well, by the way, props for nice imagery right here, nice aesthetics, avatar, cover, everything is here. Who is the developer? Great. And this is going to be also great because now anytime we add any product, any tool, anything from that developer, we'll be able to actually see everything that each, producer of or developer actually has in their catalog for anything for us to use and to compare. That's great. License status, very important to many people, right? To be able to see what's open source, for example, and pricing models for all of this is very practical information. So I'm just loving improvements there in terms of this is like real data for real people to look up and maybe employ when they're building their own stuff. So we have that. And I would say for finally, we can say on crypto, the one nice ad that we had was by Onur, which is the networks. And we can take a look at a few of them right here. We have the covers, the avatars, documentation, Explore, GitHub, a bunch of practical links around them, and some socials, and when founded, which is also good. Appreciate the aesthetics as always. I have a few types, which is normal for entities. Anything that entity is should have that type. Yeah, and so just a good clean data set of some data right here. And one highlight that I would like to quickly show, this is a personal space that one of the curators have set up, and just wanted to showcase that of how does it look when the curator is actually spending some time on their own personal space. And so they created like a separate one with like a nice name. We're focusing specifically on research papers here on the of AI. And a bunch of good research papers are added, like they're sort of pre-selected for being the more important ones, more interesting ones. And we have the people, so these are the researchers, which we can organize. We have the papers themselves, some imagery for each, and each paper has some information about it, the authors, topics for classification, and a direct link, which is a great starting point. There's a lot of things we're going to be able to do with this later on, like extracting claims, organizing that. But this is already a really good work, and I just appreciate the curator, setting up, some imagery. Like, so the curator made this image by themselves, and so just spending some time in here to, presenting nicely for the fellow curators of their work and how it looks. So that looks splendid from my end. Yeah, so those are some of the work that's being done. Quick note, points are already start being allocated. Quick example, at top clinical science of physical exam, we have the bounty right here, and we have the submission of that. And so our editors reviewed the submissions, and they specifically, as they're reviewing the submissions, they look for accuracy, right? Is the facts true, that are being presented? Structure, quality, ontology. Is it relational when possible? For example, relevance is like most important entities. Is it prioritized? Do we see the most important things here instead of having just hard, big volume? But we do take a look at the volume a little bit. So if a curator does submit relevance is there, everything that's important is there, but also they went maybe above and beyond a little bit and covered like what's important things. Also like properties that maybe are harder to get if they added those. That's taking into account, and so then the final point allocation is being submitted, and this is already process is already on the way. So yeah, that's the update from the content side.
Awesome. Great work. And yeah, great work, everyone. It's really cool to see the updates every week. Or just, I mean, this last week is already, you see some of the imagery, some of the content that's getting filled out, and it's really coming along. So yeah, just keep up the great work. Cool. Next, let's look back at some of the product work that was done over the last week. So we fully recognize that there have been some things that have been rough around the edges. We've had to push and to get everything going for this curator program. And we're very thankful for all of the patience on the little things that are rough around the edges. The team has been hard at work on all of the kind of post-launch polishy stuff. My feeling is that we will be at a good state with this stuff in the next week or two. But one thing we want to do is to just provide transparency so that you can see the work that's happening and just see the team is doing a really great job pushing through all these little issues. So at the end of last week, I think on Friday, Preston sent out an end of week update with basically here's what the team did this week. Hopefully that's helpful. So if you've seen any bugs or things like that and you've reported them, you can see that they're getting tackled. And you'll know when you can try things again. But yeah, Preston, would you want to give us a little walkthrough on some of the latest goodies that have gotten in the last week?
Absolutely. So yeah, if you guys want to follow, we'll be sending these product updates weekly, probably on Fridays if possible. Yeah, we went through and did a lot of just bug cleanup, things you might have experienced with, data blocks flashing or mark or multi-space entity dropdowns not working, things like that. So, but I want to call out two big areas that will likely be very helpful. So this is the Power Tools UI, and if you guys don't know how to get into it, you can just create any data table and add filters. And if you go into here to change data source, you can either choose all of geo or you can choose a specific space. But for this, I'll just choose all of geo and then set my, types to type just to have a data block to show this functionality on. So then if you click this and say open full screen, you then come into this Power Tools experience. So there's already, we know a few improvements that we're working on right now. One namely is bulk edits. So you'll be able to check a bunch of rows and then add types relations to them, change the values, etc. So that'll be very helpful. But we made a few quality of life improvements here. So one, you can now sort columns. So if you click on the name of a column, it'll sort by alphabetical order. If it's a text value column, relations will sort by the relation that's in the initial spot. And then dates will sort. I don't have any dates in here, but dates will sort by date order, and any other numerical number or values will sort by numerical order. So you can click it once to go sort ascending, twice to go sort descending, and then click it again to unsort it. You can also reorder columns by grabbing the handle and dragging around. This won't be persistent through sessions. We're going to make that a fast follow improvement here to make this ordering persistent. You can also hide columns by hitting this little eye icon. And if you want to add them back, you can come up here and see the full list of columns and either add things back or hide other things there. Another big improvement we made is being able to do and or filtering. So if we look at, we want to do property here. So if we click on property and add it, it'll add as an additional filter here. So right now it's something that is type and property. So we can see there's only a few things that are showing here. But if I click on that and, it'll now be or. So now this data table shows all entities that have types either property or type. So that's another nice improvement there for you guys. So this Power Tools experience or full screen editing experience is going to continue to be improving, but right now we think those initial updates will be very helpful for you guys. So I want to call them out. The next thing I want to show is functionality called import data. So right now we're only going to be able to import CSV data. And so what you're going to want to do is create a CSV that, for example, here, I've got this CSV here. One of the columns is called types. And so that's going to be a list of names, comma separated, that would be akin to a list of relations to what types those entities are. You can also have a CSV that has all the same type. So if I wanted to have all the same type, I would just type in here person and then click on the person type here. And that would be the type I would want to choose. So for right now, I'll just click on types here, and then I will click review. You're going to see this spinning icon up here that's resolving the data. So it's going to go through and it's got to figure out what properties everything is, and then resolve all of the data in here. So once that's done, we'll be able to kind of click through and see what's been created here. While we are waiting on that, yeah, here we go. So now we can see that if I click on this founder, it'll come up and it'll show me which one is currently selected. So you can see if I search founder, there's co-founder, founder, or other co-founder spelled differently. And the import data automatically is going to find the best one based on where that entity exists. So this entity exists in a higher ranked space. So if it's in the root space, you obviously want to use that one because it's the highest ranked space, and so on and so forth. And then there will be times when we weren't able to find any entity that matched that thing. And in those situations, we're actually going to create a new entity. For example, there is not a Kansas City Chiefs entity. Well, actually, there is right now. So that was already created, and so it found it in what would be akin to someone's personal space. And but if that entity also existed in the root space, it would rather choose the one in the root space. So the main thing here is you're going to want to format your table with columns that represent properties that already exist. And then any property, any relation that's going to end up creating an entity is going to create that entity based or with a type set based on the two entity type. So worked@, for example, has a two entity type of project. So any relation here that's going to create a new entity is going to do so. So for instance, this DE Shaw entity was created, and it's going to be created with a type project because the two entity type on works@ is project. So if we just search works@ really quickly, we'll see that. We can see the two entity types here is project, and that's going to inform the CSV import, how to import that data. One other thing I want to show here is, so let's delete this. And I just want to show that you can actually import data with multiple types. So in this situation, I'm going to have three different entities here. Travis Kelce is a person, and related projects is Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs is a project. Related projects is National Football League. And so we can see there's different types actually in this types column. So everything doesn't have to have the same type. And automatically this will reconcile that even if this Kansas City Chiefs entity didn't already exist, it would know that I created this Kansas City Chiefs entity in a different row, and it would know that this relation should relate to this entity here. And the same thing for this National Football League entity. The other thing is that if the row may already exist somewhere. So for example, we saw earlier that this Kansas City Chiefs entity already exists. And now we can see that I'm actually creating this in my personal space, and it's automatically creating a multi-space entity at the same entity ID that already existed here. So that's just generally how the import data is going to work right now. And we're going to be making improvements to it. So we're going to make an improvement so it'll pull directly into Power Tools and be a more editable experience. And also fix, you'll notice if you try and import larger files, that waiting time when it's resolving those relations can be quite long at this point. So we're going to be improving the optimization there too. So if you find that it's unbearably long, I would start by using smaller CSVs. And then also when you import the CSVs, you can click on just review edits and look and make sure that all of the relations and types are created correctly here. And if you notice any weirdness with entities that are creating, please report it to us, and we'll get those bugs worked out as soon as possible. So, and if you guys have any other questions, feel free to ask in Discord, and we'll make sure to answer them
there. Any of your
yeah. All right. Super exciting. So product team has been hard at work, and I know a lot of people have been waiting for that CSV import. So I think some editors have been reaching out to folks to let people know that they can start using that, but that is live. So if you've been waiting to import your CSVs, you can do that now. And keep going with Power Tools. All of these things are getting a lot smoother. And so both with GeoGenesis as well as with the Curator app, we've got a bunch of great features coming in all the time. Team is really focused on Curator enablement. And hopefully you guys feel like you've got what you need to be productive.
And a quick note from the editors. So editors do recommend for the curators to get in touch with your mentor for publishing with the CSV, especially in the first few days. So editors are fully ready and are willing to help to use that. So you'll be publishing, in some cases, large amounts of data. So it's good to check in to make sure that the ontology is well, we're publishing it right. So just a quick note from the editors there.
Yeah, that said, it does feel like we're starting to get to a point where there are quite a few people that are getting the hang of things. And so once you get to that point, I mean, we want to really unleash people. But yeah, for your first one, it'll be good to get that second check. Okay, awesome. All right. So looking forward, we have a few focus areas. Of course, we have our existing spaces. Last week, we talked about world affairs, and we did get a space set up for that, but we've been limited in the stuff we've been doing there. That is all going to ramp up a lot this week. So we're going to be looking to start the first World Affairs community call, and we're going to look to get that booked starting for tomorrow. So keep an eye out for a World Affairs community call. We'll ping some folks. We got a good amount of interest. We have our initial members have joined. So thank you folks that joined the World Affairs space. We're going to get this thing up and running. Related to that is the news. And we did not release this last week. We're continuing to do work on this, but we are hoping to actually release Geo News this week. So here, we've got the AI crypto health and our new world affairs. And we have started publishing stories already for world affairs. And it's like we saw. We have some nice cover images, summaries, claims with different perspectives, got topic extraction, and we have our timelines. So if we look here for the Iran Gulf military crisis, we can see a bunch of things evolving. This is just kind of in the last day. But we are going to be working on our info. We're going to be basically updating this probably 4 times a day. Is the sort of thing that we're looking at. And what we would really love to see is to have folks for these different spaces that are kind of monitoring the news that's getting published. So, if you're an AI, stay on top of the AI related news that gets posted every day. If you're in crypto, check out that news, stay on top of it. For health, we got things here and world affairs. And I think the kind of workflow that we want to see is the news itself, extraction, is going to be automated. And we're going to be publishing it, like I said, maybe starting 4 times a day. Maybe you'll kind of know what time the news is going to get published. And you can keep an eye out for that and check it out. If you're a curator in that space, keep an eye out for it. And what we'll find is, it's not going to be totally perfect. It's hard to get things perfect. So, we try to extract related projects, maybe something like countries, maybe, those shouldn't be projects. And instead, maybe we want to have related entities or, they're, I kind of think, these are, I guess they're nations or regions. So, these topics look good, but maybe we want to fix up the topics. Maybe the claims aren't exactly right. So, will be really great to get manual editing of these things. And I think it's just going to be, once it's published, essentially, if you find any issues with it, fix it, publish the changes, and we'll be awarding points for that. So there will be kind of a long-lived bounty. And with the points themselves, we're going to have to kind of iterate to try to find the right number of points for different things. But we are going to be rewarding people. Basically, if you find anything that needs to be fixed, you fix it. We'll be assigning points for that. So that should be fun, and it's really helpful, right? It's helpful for Geo, it's helpful for the knowledge graph, and should be able to get points for that. So once we get ready for this to go live, please keep an eye out and jump in. It will be really great to get your contributions here with news. So super exciting. And, I really do think that, news is just one of these areas where we really need better epistemic solutions. It's so hard for people to really understand what's going on, to have quality conversations. If you can't even align on the facts, how are you even going to have quality conversations? So, maybe we can really provide something to help here, to help people better understand what's happening in the world. Next up is people. And with people, we have not released this publicly yet. So please don't post about it. But we do want people to be able to start contributing. And so we do have a URL now that you can reach at people.geobrowser.io. And I think we now have a good ontology for everything, and things are looking good. I had shown this before. And so we are at a good place for people to start publishing, richer profiles for people, for work history, education history, talks, podcasts, posts. And what we'd like to see is we should be able to start to fill this out already for notable people. Now, if they're super notable people, maybe we already have info on like Wikidata, for example, right? There are good sources for this kind of stuff. Wikidata is a good source. There's other sources that have info. So, depending on the industry and the people, you can find other sources. But we are going to be pushing out a list of some people that we would want to go deep on. But really, I mean, you can already start. Obviously, we have our existing spaces. If you go into AI and you check out people, there's already a bunch of people here, but we don't really have, full profiles for anyone, right? So here, I mean, we have this nice description. Now, what we did here is, this is an example of, the key contributions, the background. This right now is just kind of prose here. Now, what we could do, we do have some things here, and it looks like this needs to be fixed up. So there's already some good things here. But it may not be enough to have, this level of, great content and everything that people can browse. So with this app, we have basically routes with IDs here. And what you could do is you could, find a profile, for example. So we want to see Sam Altman. We copy his ID. We come to the people app. We paste in the ID. Okay, so there's the page for Sam Altman. And we can see, his avatar, his name, description, roles, and what links we have. Okay, there's a LinkedIn. I'm not logged in, but and that's the wrong Sam Altman. So, these are good things so we need to fix things up. Let's see about, looks like that was a URL thing. Oh, because we need to properly, because that was just a handle. So, if we come here, we're going to need better empty states, but we obviously don't have other information about Sam. And so if we publish the correct information, if we want to see, his past speaking, and we publish it with the correct ontology, it should show up here. So this becomes kind of a nice forcing function to really, ideally, we have, beautiful pages for everybody, that's coming from the knowledge graph. And as we enrich this and add more information, it'll show up in the people app, and that should be a great way to browse people. So let's start doing that for people that are in these spaces that we already have, and start enriching those profiles. And there is an Ethereum conference coming up at the end of the month. There's ETHCC is going to be happening. There's going to be a bunch of people there. So we're going to be organizing, who are speakers and notable people who are going to be at the conference, and would be nice to really do a little push to get some nice profiles. For that group of people, that'll be for the crypto space, right? Because there's already a lot of people here, and that'll be a nice way to kind of prioritize some. But we want to see the limits of, really going in depth and organizing interesting info about people. So if you're interested in that, I know we sent an email, the last week's weekly email. We'll send another one now, looking for people to raise their hands who want to get involved there. And we'll definitely make sure we get some good points allocated to people. And that's a great place to contribute. So that's news and that's people. Let's take a look at some other areas where, as we continue with our Show Don't Tell initiative, we want people to find interesting, deep projects that they want to sink their teeth into and go deeper, with the focus on things that we can share out and that'll get people excited about knowledge graph. So, Adam, what are some things taking shape on the Show Don't Tell side of things? And we can't hear
I'm
you.
muted.
Oh, there we go.
Hey everyone. Sharing my screen. Let me know if you see it. I'm gonna go into slideshow mode, but I don't know if you'll be. Is it only showing up a
Yeah,
slideshow, or is it still
yeah, we can see
yeah,
it.
perfect. Perfect. So yeah, this week wanted to go a bit deeper in terms of the giving you guys some ideas on of projects that you can work on. Just reminding you that the objective that was shared last week is kind of to showcase the potential of Geo publicly, and working on some kind of data viz projects. Idea is that these are projects and visualizations that we'll be able to share on socials that will help grab the public's attention, and also that will help create entities that can be reused in the future, and kind of helping us seed the base layer of information on Geo, so that we can unlock really the power of the knowledge graph. Wanted to take the opportunity for a quick shout out. We have 4 curators that have started working on these types of initiatives. Kevin, Maxime, Levin, and Dini. They've all worked on some interesting kind of interactive dashboards or data viz, some of which we've actually already posted on our socials. And so this is kind of a reminder that, we really want to encourage everybody to post about their work. Some of the posts that we've been doing have been highlighting and giving shout outs for work that's been done on current bounties. It doesn't need to be just work that's done on these kind of complex and data viz projects. And there also might be some opportunity for you guys to use some of the data that you've already published and actually create a nice visualization, create a nice infographic or something. So feel free to do that and post it. We really, really take notice. And here are 2 examples of posts that we did this week on Geo, about some of the projects that our curators took to the next level. And one of them got 18,000 views, which is great. Maybe a reminder of kind of where we want to get to. I think it's quite inspiring to think about the possibilities of a knowledge graph. It's going to take a while before we can, fully get there. And it's kind of, we have to build it together bit by bit. So any entities that you guys are creating now, any additional data source that you're connecting to Geo, will help us get there. And I think 3 of the kind of, big picture ideas that we are building towards, which I find, incredibly powerful. One is around AI. Once we have the labs, the researchers, the papers that are onto Geo, we'll be able to build, the world's first AI power map and really understand the landscape. And I think this will be something that will be incredibly, incredibly powerful. In health, there's tons of different use cases, but just think about the potential once we have, diseases, trials, approvals, institutions that are kind of mapped out and connected to each other. We're already seeing some really incredible work from Kevin and Deanie, who are starting to build little dashboards and explorers, and excited for this to be to be built even further. And then another really interesting use case is kind of mapping out money behind politics. Once we have different candidates, different bills and organizations that are all on Geo, we'll be able to connect them, and we'll be able to create something really powerful. Um, just wanted to show you guys an example. I don't know how many of you have seen this. Um, just wanted to show you an example of what is how powerful and how viral a data viz project can get. And this was something that was built over a couple of days, over a weekend, by one guy with some agents. It's a 1 minute video, but I think it really highlights the power of data viz. His original video got more than 2 or 3 million views. He was contacted by the CEO of Palantir, and what he basically did, which is super interesting, is he built an infrastructure that relies on open, publicly available data. It pulls air traffic data, satellite data, GPS interference data, and overlaid everything on a world map, and was able to therefore track the Iran conflict, and everything, all the repercussions that it has. So this is like when there's an internet blackout, you can see all the planes that are being rerouted, and it's super powerful. And these days, with the help of agents and vibe coding, there's a lot that we can do to kind of organize data in a way that is super powerful. So just wanted to give you guys a bit of an example idea, so that you can kind of understand what I mean by building brick by brick, and getting to some place where the power of the knowledge graph is unlocked. So what I've just shown you, it was built using this data. So you have data about satellites, about aircrafts, about GPS, aircraft closures, and then you have the NASA data that looks at like fires. This is all publicly available data that we could, pull into Geo, and that would have repercussions across, a large number of different use cases. And I just wanted to kind of show you, and as an example, tell you that once this data is on Geo, we can go much beyond just an Iran war dashboard. And to kind of show you, I think the power of a knowledge graph is how it can be connected across very different spaces. So, for example, having a GPS interference map is something that can be interesting. Having mapping who's watching Earth, and creating a bit of a dashboard based on satellite orbits, which again is publicly available data, can be very interesting. And these are, simple projects, because all you need is to be able to pull data from a single source. You don't even need to overlay, 15 different sources. From that, I took another 5 new examples that also sometimes build on some of the existing bounties that are up on Geo now. To give you guys a bit of ideas, these are things that one curator could work on, and create a really interesting experience, or data viz. One is an antimicrobial resistance tracker. Would be super cool to have something where you can go and show which antibiotics are losing effectiveness against specific pathogens. This is something that can be really critical in clinical and policy decisions. And you could imagine something that looks a bit like this once you've mapped out everything on the knowledge graph. This is just an example that I've created. We've already started mapping antimicrobial resistance. Building a tracker from that, and including additional data could be a logical next step. An AI compute provider comparator tool. So this is kind of had in mind something that would be equivalent to Skyscanner, but for AI compute. We started mapping GPU providers, adding stuff like pricing, and then putting it in a dashboard where you can kind of see the differences in pricing and explore. Could be really interesting, and it could be done with data that is hosted onto Geo. Another example is around AI discovery, and how that's helping drug discovery in particular. one of the interesting questions today is what kind of AI tools can help in drug discovery, mapping those out to specific discoveries and showing what areas of healthcare are being accelerated by AI is super interesting. It also helps you show the gaps. You could imagine a discovery interface like this, for example. Example 4, most watched places on Earth. This is just, you with the same satellite data that I showed you, we could also create a heat map. It's quite interesting. There's a lot of places that are much more, which are photographed many more times than other places. This is a kind of an example of something that I found online. It could be quite easy to do. Another example, for those that know Data is Beautiful, they created something that was great a while ago and that went very viral, and they were able to map scientific evidence to popular supplements. This is something that we could very well do at Geo, with evidence being strong to low. For example, coffee. Actually, there's an interesting example. Or caffeine apparently has a great effect on memory, and then it links back to the study. Okay, so these are just a few examples. If any of you, is interested in seeing the full list, We'll send it out in the email. It's been shared already with some of the curators. And feel free to reach out to me. We can always discuss the list of kind of expert bounties that we have. You can see it here. I'll share this list. There's quite a few different project ideas, and we're very keen to also get your ideas into here. I forgot to mention that there's a few of these projects that are being worked on by curators. You might get the chance to see a demo today, depending on whether the curators want to show you. I haven't spoiled anything. They're working on some very unique um, demos that they might even want to share today. Yeah, that's it on my side.
Okay,
Yaniv, I don't know if you
awesome. Yeah, no, that was fantastic. So hopefully that gets the ideas flowing. Some really great examples there. We do have 5 minutes if somebody does want to do a demo.
I'll just give you a bit of a teaser without
Well,
forcing anybody.
we could just leave it for them too.
Oh yeah, I was just going to mention the topics that they're working on. I wasn't gonna share anything. So Kevin has been working on some interesting crime data in order to be able to kind of compare crime data across major cities.
Yeah, let's just leave it for people to introduce their own work. I think it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. So we can leave it there if people aren't ready to share demos now, totally fine. I think we covered a lot for this week. And last questions. Okay, we got a taker. How do you pronounce your name? Is it Levin?
Oh, hi. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, it's Levan.
Levin. Okay, hey,
Yeah.
let's
In
do it.
French, Levan, or as you wish, just Levan.
Cool. Awesome.
Oh, hi. Good evening. Right.
Hey.
I wanted to share a little bit of demo. What bounty I'm working on now. It's about AI accelerating the history, basically the archaeology, how AI helps scientists, the historians, to find more, read more, and basically, let's just say, like rewriting the history now, AI. Because what we thought for years and for centuries, it appears that there was a different things written on some scrolls, some papyrus, and some carbonized stuff that was found. So if you let me share my screen.
Are you not able to? Lizzie, can you help
Yeah,
with that? I'm not seeing the
you should
ability.
be able to share it.
Okay,
I
great.
think, can you see it?
Yep,
We can see it.
perfect.
Right. If you see here, this is the map. So This is like 6 entity that I've choose for the very beginning. It can be like 15, it can be more. But if you click on Italy, this is the Vesuvius challenge. So what happened there? The first century, there was Vesuvius volcano. It just explodes and just burnt everything. And there was lots of libraries. Libraries written lots of things there, but everything was carbonized basically. These papyrus written scrolls were carbonized. So it was found around 275 years ago. Yeah, here. And no one could do anything with it. They couldn't read it. They couldn't just open these scrolls because it would just break down. So there was some challenge. Some universities, some people basically wrote the codes and they used some AI methods, which is here, virtual unwrapping, computer vision, deep neural network, and they start reading it. So what scientists and the historians could not do during 275 years, this method, the AI method, did 10 months. So there was people like this is Dr. Brent Seals from the, if you see my screen very well, the card, yeah. Yeah. And these are the people, for example, who worked on it. The winners wrote the codes and they started reading all these scrolls, all these carbonized scrolls. So this is one example. Here in Greece, also there was stones that they couldn't read, for example, and in just 10 seconds, the AI method could read what wasn't possible to do like in 2 years. So basically, it was accelerating the time. They started reading a lot and a lot, founding a lot and a lot. And this was happening around the world a lot, basically. So here, I can speak about all of them, like all these projects. But what's the interesting is it's about the timeline. So how it works here, for example, any of these entities, I'm calling it as entity, any of these challenges has its data and the graph. So what is linked on what? For example, in the Vesuvius challenge, if you see here, there's linked people, there is linked some AI methods. For example, if you click on neutral, this links to another challenge. This computer vision links to other challenges. So this is what I'm trying to just to make it just a demo basically. I'm trying to show how AI methods are helping historians and science to read more and find out more. That's a little demo I got.
All right. I love this. This is so cool. Great work. Yeah, no, I mean it's the archaeology and history is fascinating. I feel like, there's always new shows on Netflix and different places, people going into like archaeology and trying to find this stuff because people are really interested. It's fascinating, just understand the history and what's happened. And now we have better ways to see that. So cool to see that in a graph, and
Thank you.
people who
Thank you
want to
very much.
investigate this stuff. It's a nice starting point, and then yeah, I bet there's lots of people that are interested in this around the world. So great work.
Thank
Great work.
you. Thank you very much.
Awesome. All right. So I think that's a good place for today. Really exciting to see the progress across the board. So people are diving in. Please don't be shy to reach out if you have questions, if you want to pick up some new projects. I think we saw a really cool one from Kevin last week. We now saw a really cool one from Levon today. And as people dive deeper into these things, that we can kind of demo and get people's minds going of just like what can we accomplish if we actually interconnect all the world's knowledge, you know. Yeah, really cool to see the pioneering work that's happening here, and excited to get everybody points to keep streamlining, the product and help everyone get really efficient with publishing and iterating. So great work, everyone. Have a really great week, and excited to see y'all on the community calls. Please join the community calls this week. As we start to build up our micro, communities for each space, and keep organizing the knowledge. All right. Thanks, everyone. See y'all online.